Hello and welcome to the brandtuned podcast, which covers all things brand related, including the essential trademark and IP dimension. I'm your host, Shireen Smith, IP lawyer, brand manager, and author of the upcoming book, Brandtuned, The New Rules of Branding, Strategy, and Intellectual Property. Do sign up on brandtuned.com to attend the book launch on the 28th of September 2021. In this episode, I interviewed a series of business owners to produce a Vox Pop about what they did when they first started out to create their brands. How did they deal with the IP side of things? There's more information about the various businesses in the show notes. So my first guest was David Horne, who advises businesses that want to achieve exponential growth. His other business, Funding Focus, supports businesses to raise capital. I asked David what brand means to him and to what extent he has worked out his own brand. This is what he had to say.
I mean, a brand ultimately is everything to do with a business and how it represents itself to its customers. So it's much more than a name and a logo. Those are just an outward manifestation. You know, brand values and the broader brand thing go from anything like, you know, how do people answer the phone? How do you respond to people in emails? What is your culture like? What is you know, I saw someone recently saying that a brand is kind of like an iceberg, and the logo is the tip of the iceberg, but so much of the value of the brand is what you don't even see because it lies below the water. And I thought that was a good analogy.
I then asked Paul Griffiths, co-founder of the Aspire Active Education Group, which has been going for 15 years or so, to explain his journey in terms of sorting out his company's brand.
Yeah, so it's a journey that's really changed over time. I think initially brand has always been really important to us to me as a leader. I've always understood the importance of having a strong brand and having an identity, both initially definitely as an organization, but then also more from an individual perspective as well. Because I think we need that unique identity. Our marketplace is new. The sector's only really been around for 20 years. So been going for 16 of those years. It's changed a lot. There's a lot more out there in terms of competition. So the importance of having a strong brand, having a professional brand, given the fact that we're working with children, and obviously in the education sector, it is very, very important to have a brand that is well respected by the customer base. So the transition really over those years has been one of really kind of, I suppose, from a leadership perspective, making sure that our team and our customers and the partners that we work with, those stakeholders, understand the importance of not only our brand but of their brands as well. Yeah, we did. So the official name of our organisation was Aspire Sports Health and Fitness Limited. That was the first limited company that we operated through, and that's changed. We now have a group structure, but Aspire is in pretty much everything. So Aspire Active Education is the group company. Within that, we have Aspire Sports Health and Fitness, which is the direct delivery arm, Aspire Training Solutions, which is our training arm, and then Aspire Active Partnerships, which is the partner network arm. So for us, it's always important to have Aspire as the kind of the brand name, if you like, and it's something that we understand that needs protecting and using in the right way. And we have a similar approach to Shireen with our some of our programs. So we have a program, for example, that we designed about 10 years ago now called Maths on the Move. So it's important that we've designed other programs with other subjects. So English on the Move, for example. So we've always understood the importance of having something that's aligned with Aspire and our brand and some of the programs that we create. So, and the final one is our school holidays. So Aspire Active Camps is our school holiday branding as well. So yeah, Aspire really does kind of filter through the organisations and the different arms of the business that we have.
This is a really good approach to brand naming because it follows the Virgin approach, a single brand name combined with descriptors, which I approve of for small businesses rather than having lots of different names. So I was curious whether they had any help with the name and brand. And apparently they did it themselves without help. However, they are keen on learning, so have obviously benefited from that learning in knowing how to do the right thing.
No one really. It came from myself and James initially, with regards to the name of the brand, and then I think how it flowed through the brand. I think that we had a lot of really positive feedback in the early days from really like the name of your company and what it stands for, and obviously we're inspiring children, and children are aspiring to be not just children. Everyone we work with is aspiring to be better versions of themselves, if you like, going forward. So it was something that really just stuck. And whenever we have meetings, internal meetings, and we focus on new program development, or we look at company structure, it kind of just comes naturally, I guess, that I've not really thought about it, but the whole team really does buy into who we are, what we do, what we stand for, and it kind of just flows nicely through the company. The only I guess advice that we have had in the past has come from like an IP lawyer as such, so to protect some of our brand. And aside from that, it's really just picked up. Myself and James are really big on on learning. We're constantly learning, whether it's through courses, whether it's reading books, listening to podcasts. But especially going back to when we first started the business, there were some books that we read, and we didn't have any business experience, but books we read and people we spoke to that may have run other businesses, that we got talking about branding, but we've never really engaged with a brand expert as such.
What actually made you decide you needed to go to IP lawyers?
Yeah, exactly that. It was the moment where we realised that somebody had pretty much copied and pasted the whole website, and we thought that's clearly not on. So I think we'd already been introduced to our IP lawyer at the time. It's kind of like just an initial introduction, and you need to think about this and think about that, and like most people, well, like small business owners that I know, it's kind of like, well, okay, yeah, we'll get in touch. We'll have a meeting at some point. It doesn't happen, and then something happens, and you need to actually have a conversation, and you wish you'd had that conversation months before. But yeah, that was the initial prompt. Even over the pandemic, in the first lockdown in the summer, we had a couple of instances where resources that we had worked so hard on producing and putting content out there, we had a couple of companies just crop up on social media and literally copy what we did. So there's that initial anger, I guess, of, well, how dare you kind of completely rip off what we're doing. But then there's on reflection, kind of, once you can control that chimp in your head that's telling you to react straight away with an angry response, is, well, actually, first of all, you must be doing something right because someone wants to copy you. So, but then there's the kind of moment to pause and think, right, we've been in this situation before. We speak to our IP lawyer, use a template that we've got, or a conversation, or make a phone call, send some correspondence, and it should be dealt with. And touch wood, every issue we've had with somebody that has done something and breached our IP, it is being resolved very quickly because of the guidance and advice that we've had from our IP lawyer. So, yeah. When
were you aware that there is such a thing as IP?
I think it's probably going back actually to a couple of business courses that myself and my business partner did, probably back in about the recession, really. Around the recession, there was something like injections locally with small business support and various courses that we went on. And I remember one of the modules was around IP and the importance of protecting your intellectual property. So that was probably the first instance of, oh, okay, this is something that as a small business has only been going a couple of years. We're not as big, we don't employ as many people, our turnover isn't as big as some of the other companies in the room. So it's probably something on our list that we need to look at, but it's probably not something we need to act on straight away. And looking back, that's if we were to start up again, then 100% that it's one thing that we would get done pretty much straight away, and engage with somebody that knows what they're talking about, that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and can help protect you, because you can, if we hadn't have protected our brand as such and the content we're producing, it's how frustrating it would have been to have somebody copy content, copy program, copy resources, and literally be stuck and not being able to do anything. It could be disastrous, especially if you're a startup and you look at maybe limited funds and limited cash flow. And it is, in my opinion, I think a lot of small businesses, and knowing the network of organisations that we have, it is probably something that is on the bottom of a lot of people's lists, but it's something that needs to really be at the top of it, because if you don't protect it, your business could be in serious jeopardy pretty quickly.
Gareth Bain of Got Legs Digital had just set up his business. He has a branding background with an honours degree in brand and strategic leadership. I wanted to know Gareth's approach to supporting his clients to choose better names for their brand.
Yeah, so in terms of helping a business choose a business name, it's something that we can do. We do have clients that have names where we recommend a name change, either for SEO purposes or for just being top of mind and remembering. In terms of the brand itself, we can help with the colors, the strategy, the messaging, and taking them from kind of the cradle to grave in a kind of holistic approach. I think a lot of businesses, when they think brand, as I say, they think, well, it's my color and my typeface. But it's your employees, it's how you answer the phone. A brand is a promise. And this is what we try and educate businesses on, and saying it's not only your logo and your color, but it's the experience that you give to customers. Because you might want to portray a particular image of being amazing or this and that, but you know what? Your Trustpilot or your Google reviews don't actually, support that, because so many people have gone and said they've had a bad service from you. So a brand is bringing that all together, and we do that for customers.
I asked him how intellectual property interplays with the branding work they're doing for their clients.
Yeah, I think whenever you create a brand, you're creating something that's new. It's your intellectual property, it's your IP that you want to promote. I think basing something on your intellectual property is very hard for your competitors to compete, to replicate. And that's definitely where companies should focus their main attention on. That's why I'm all about focusing on brand rather than products. It's very easy for a new company to come into the market and go, okay, well, I'm going to start selling, a particular product. Whereas if you've built, a brand, and behind that brand there's intellectual IP, and you've got a specific USP based around it, it's much harder for a competitor to come in there and take your market share, because you're competing on a much higher level. As opposed to a product level, it's more of an asset level. And by building a brand and an IP into your actual business, you're creating that value, which is one day sellable when you do want to finally exit your business. I have been in the situation before where we've spent 2 or 3 hours of great brainstorming, come up with a name of an organization or a product, and we go, right, all gung-ho, and then we find out that it's actually either copywritten or the website already exists, and all that work was for nothing. So it's very important to have that copy written, because the last thing you want is someone stealing your idea, your brand name, and leveraging that in another country, diluting your equity, dissolving your brand ethos somewhere else. So putting an IP onto a brand is very important.
To celebrate the release of the brand-tuned book, we're hosting a launch event on the 28th of September when key figures like Rory Sutherland, David Archer, and Rob Meyerson are interviewed on video. The book is about how to create a distinctive brand using IP to stand out. It's in line with the evidence-based research from the Ehrenberg Bass Institute into how brands grow, which highlighted the important role identifiers like the brand name, logo, symbols, etc., play in bringing brands to mind in consumers' memories. It's critically important to ensure the identifiers created for your brand are legally distinctive and protected in the right way so they prevent competitor copying. Do register to attend and take part in the special offers available. Sign up at brandtuned.com. The link is in the show notes. Next, I spoke with Pam Tironi, the managing director and CEO at the Pizza Room. She has been in the industry for 12 years and shared her insights on choosing the right help when turning ideas into a brand.
It's very difficult for me as non-expert to know what is available, what is right, what is wrong. So having that confidence that the persons you're talking to are comprehensive, that they know what they're doing and they are trustworthy, that they're not just throwing in a few images and job done, but they're really caring, that would have made a difference. And in this world, we struggle finding it. I'm still unsure if the agency we are using is the best or if there was something else around. And sometimes it's so difficult to understand what the best is, because we are not looking at, we are not a multinational as yet. We're just a small business. And as a small business, what we need is to be simple, straightforward, and to grow.
Did you think about intellectual property at all, that you were effectively creating intellectual property when you developed the name?
Yeah, we copyrighted two logos, actually, not the names, but the logos of the company to protect our intellectual property. It is not easy because our names are very common. So the coffee room, the pizza room are generic names, but we did copyright them to protect. We had already people copying us. So we had a restaurant not far from us that has used our name, and we have a coffee shop that is used this very similar name at too little distance from us. So I've used the copyright to send the cease and desist.
Pam discussed a common problem businesses face around employment in terms of finding it difficult to identify the right people to help with the visual identity.
Yeah, that was also very hard to do. So we have employed a person first, which was supposed to be a graphic designer with marketing experience, but ended up being more an IT person. So we moved that person into the web designer and web development, which was his actual main field. Then we got another individual, which was apparently, again, expert in marketing and media, but it ended up being very expert in social media, not in actually marketing. and the whole concept, but helped anyway to direct to this branding search. And I am at the point now where I know I need to hire someone which is very competent in marketing, and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling because what you see is not what you get, or what they tell you is not what you get. So we would love to be able to recruit the right persons, to be able to identify someone that understands and is able to bring us to the next level.
Next, I spoke with Gerri McMahon, the founder of the Academy of Light and Soul Discovery Coaching, on how they came up with their brand name.
It's about discovering your soul, and I'd been really inspired by one of my dead, but, shiatsu teachers whose books I used to devour, called Shisudo Mazanaga, who's Japanese. And one of the things that he wrote, which always had an impact on me, was on his deathbed, he said, I really wish I'd worked more with people's souls, rather than their bodies or their minds or emotions. And that just had such an impact on me. So yeah, that's how we came up with the Soul Discovery Academy.
Gerri shared some interesting insights on how she attracts the right clients and decides on the type of clients to target.
Weirdly enough, just recently in the last kind of week or two, I'm sticking to a schedule of at least 3 social posts a day, and I'm trying to go live on Facebook as often as I can. And to be honest, I just use life to inspire me. I feel really confident at the moment that I have enough knowledge and I have enough wisdom. Maybe, there's a business side that I need to focus on, because I ran away from sales and marketing things for many years, as a lot of healers and coaches do. But I just use life, and weirdly enough, my problems and the conflicts that I get over, and those of my clients who give me permission to show people that, it's okay. We're birthing through a very tight, difficult birth canal at the moment. But my God, the light on the other side of this is powerful and incredible.
Finally, it was Ian Mikulin's turn to share his story about his brand consulting business supporting his DJing career. What did he want to achieve for his business?
I really want to dig into the reasons why we do what we do. That's kind of been my driving force. It's helping people understand what the needs are behind the activities that we do. So I have this point of view that the needs, beliefs, and values that we have determine our behavior. And too many businesses are focusing on the behavior and the outside external manifestation of what it is that we do. And really, we need to be spending a bit more time looking inside out. What is the values, the beliefs, and the needs that are driving that, and creating a space for us to actually look at that.
So what would you be studying for that? Is it decision science or?
It's a little bit of a combination of psychosynthesis, psychoanalysis, behavioral science, behavioral economics, and a whole host of other things. It's essentially really looking at what are the needs that we need to meet right now in this moment, and actually bringing that into an awareness of, okay, what need am I fulfilling? Why am I looking to fulfill it in this way? And start to really reconnect with our authentic human drivers, essentially.
Did you feel you had access to the right help to turn your ideas into a business and brand?
I think had you asked me that 6 months ago, I'd have said, yeah, no problem, I've got it all sorted. And I think as I'm starting to really dig in a much deeper level as to what it is that I want to do, why I want to do it, and how I want to do it, I'm realizing that I was kidding myself, which is a pattern that I've experienced. Because one of my needs is to feel as though I can do it on my own, but also another one of my needs is to be supported to do things. So it's kind of playing in that tension of giving myself autonomy, but also a sense of support and valuable expertise.
Lastly, What are the unknowns you feel you would have benefited from having more help with?
Yeah, I think it's around finding trusted partners with whom I can bounce ideas off and have experience that I both acknowledge and respect, so that I don't see it as an attack on my ideas, more of a support and a build on my ideas. I think there's something very interesting in the way that we perceive and react to people's input. And I'm becoming more sensitive and aware of finding partners with whom that chemistry is such, and the way that they communicate and I communicate with them creates a collaborative environment and relationship, rather than a conflicting environment and relationship.
That's it for this week. Do subscribe to the brandtuned newsletter to get weekly updates. I'd also love to get your feedback. Just send me an email to info@brandtuned.com. Finally, if you liked the episode, please do share it with your friends and colleagues and review it on iTunes or whichever platform you use to listen to podcasts. If you leave us a 5-star review, it means more people will listen and we can spread the word much more quickly about the podcast. Thank you, and bye for now.